Ah, yes. Those brushes on those cymbals. I'm telling you what. I'm telling you what. Um, used to be a time where you could go to a restaurant and you could go sit at a little table, had a little candle in the center, a little white table, little linen tablecloth. You go in there and get you a good steak and maybe a whiskey on the rocks and listen to a little jazz band, a little blues. You know, back in the day, it was nice. I don't know. Maybe we're headed in that direction again. That pendulum swinging, baby. It's a good day. Here's to America. God, long may she wave. So, welcome in. Welcome in. We're going to have kind of a grab bag today. I've been kind of otherwise occupied most of the day. Went saw my eye doctor. She told me I could see, so that's good news. Ordered some new glasses, came home, watched a little more of the festivities in the day, and told Steve, we're just going to do a grab bag tonight and have a good time. So we're just going to visit. So let me get Mr. Steve Stockton in here. You know him, is to love him. And so many things he has accomplished. But I would say after all these years, and he can come in here and speak for himself, but I think one of his biggest accomplishments is staying on my damn good side for all these years. So, I mean, I hadn't seen many other people do that. Get in here, Steve.
Hey, how about that?
Isn't that an accomplishment?
And you're sure the doctor said you can see good?
I can see just fine. I don't know. I think I might have scared him.
On YouTube, it says mixed pair talk with Stee Stockton, Stee. Who the hell is Stee Stockton?
He didn't say I could freaking spell, Steve. He just said I could see.
You can see, but you can't spell.
Yeah, I can just see. He didn't say I could spell.
But anyway, howdy, everybody. How you doing? Hello to Nicole and Holden.
Hey, Nick. Hey, Holden. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
Cold here in New England. 13 degrees. Going to get down in the single digits tonight. We had a big snow yesterday into this morning.
Yeah, we got snow
4 or
too.
5 inches out there.
Honey, we got squirrels. We got bats in our belfry and squirrels in the attic, and just I can't even tell you. It just doesn't even matter. It's just a good day. So, you know, we're just going to have a good time tonight and drink our tea.
What was going on with your stream last night? It looked like it ended, but it didn't end, and there were people in the chat for a long time.
Just the longest time. We were, I hit a button, Steve.
Yeah,
and
I told
everything.
Nicole, I said, Cisco must have pushed a button.
I hit a button, and everything went dark. And, it wasn't coming back no matter what I did. And nothing would move. And the only thing I could do was just say goodnight. They could still hear me, but they couldn't see me.
Said,
so I just
still typing. We can hear.
It was right on. It was right on time. So it was just like we were just done. That was it. You know, spirits pulled the plug. I guess I don't know. StreamYard. I don't know. Since they doubled their prices, they certainly gotten a little rickety. But ratchet is all get out.
Pay mine for this month.
It's gotten ratchet. I don't know. It seems to be when the prices go up, the product goes down. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe that'll change. Maybe we knock the dents out of that sumbitch too. How y'all doing tonight? Hey, Renice. I see Renice in here. I see
Renice. I haven't forgotten about you. I'll use some books. The next time I go out, there's snow and ice out there right now, so it may be a while. But
snow and ice. Long time fan of Steve Stockton. Here you go, Chris. And thank y'all again for all your kindness. And your Rumble rants and your PayPal gifts and being a member and supporting the channel and being over there for our Tuesday night movie. And it's a good one this Tuesday. I think I'm going to try to pull off a double feature because I really want to do a balance of yin and yang there. I'm going to do Nefarious. Gerald was nice enough to, I've got some back channel boys, to get some of these wonderful movies without any kind of breaks in them and stuff to show y'all. And again, we don't make any money on that, so we're just putting it up there for educational use. We're trying not to get possessed. We're trying not to be ghosts. YouTube, listen to us. We're learning here. This is a very important learning experience on this podcast. It's like how not to be a ghost, you know, and if you have one, how to get rid of them, how to help move on. So anyway, Tuesday night's Nefarious, and we're going to try to do a double feature with the Ravine. So if you're not able to see it out there on the inner tubes, you very well might be able to catch it on Rumble. So let's give that a whirl. So it'll be a double feature Tuesday, and it will definitely be a learning experience in the art of spiritual warfare, I assure you, on both ends. So that'll be like a solid 3 hours of, sharpening those supernatural tools of ours in our toolbox. So, Steve, have you seen either one of those? Have you seen the Ravine?
I haven't seen either one of them. So,
well, you should be there.
Join you over there.
It's free. Get you a double order of popcorn and whatever Holden wants, and a couple hot dogs, some nachos, and you build your blanket fort.
Not too solid food yet, but that's fast approaching.
Fast nachos should be the first thing.
Baby-led bottle weaning or whatever it is. So we're already making plans.
Nachos should be the very best thing. Maybe not the jalapenos yet, but maybe
not yet. I don't know.
Maybe just a little good queso. Yeah, I'm definitely work up to it.
There's Vixen Doe, Monica DeVias.
Build your blanket fort in the living room. Get your lard candles out and stay warm, right? Ted, I saw Ted in here too. He's in here causing mischief, aren't you? He says it's cold out there. Hey, Monica, how you doing? Ted, what'd you say it was? Who said it was 6 degrees, 9 degrees? Was it you?
Yeah, I mean 13 here, but it's getting down to the single digits tonight and for the next couple of days.
You've probably seen one of Steve's channels. Yeah. So everybody's looking good today. Everybody having a good day? I hope so. I hope you're staying warm. I know some people really haven't.
I had kind of a rough morning, as you know.
I know. I'm so sorry that happened.
For those of you that follow me, Mr. Mulder passed away peacefully and quietly in his sleep last night. 13 years, my best friend and constant companion. And he went on across Rainbow Bridge. It was for the best. He didn't suffer. He didn't have any sickness or disease, didn't get hit by a car, attacked by bigger dogs, or have to be put down or anything like that. He just went to sleep.
God bless Mulder, man. We love you, baby. Just ride on that love and that energy. I mean, there's nothing you can say when you lose a four-legged pal like that.
Thanks, everybody.
I love you, sweetie, and I'm so sorry that happened.
Yeah.
You and I both know that he's bouncing around now. He's chasing rabbits and doing all kinds of stuff.
Chasing rabbits and squirrels and
it doesn't make it any easier. That's for sure.
When we lived in New Mexico, he ran out the front door one time after some wild turkeys. I'm going to get me one of them big chickens. He loved chicken.
Yeah. I know it. Yeah. I mean, you're sleeping. I heard several other people today too, unbelievably so. I mean, I think it was the last hour I worked when I was at work, and the lady came in and said she had lost somebody that went in their sleep like that. She was 95 years old, and they just found her the next day, and it's just, oh man, I don't know. It's like we always say, especially here on this channel, tomorrow's promised to no one, but it does continue. It does continue on. And we all know that for sure. I mean, there's too many stories, too many things, we're going to talk about some of them tonight, but I can tell you that I know that when you have a friend that's that close and spent that many long nights, long days, changing with you, being your, side by side, it's like that song, there really is, puts a whole new emphasis and meaning to the word friend, and we're just blessed to have them in our lives. We're just blessed. There's no two ways about it, and it never, they're never forgotten right here. So there's that. We love you, Mulder. Tonight we're just going to talk about some some fun and silly stuff, and a couple of clips of things caught on tape, maybe creatures, maybe fun, things, maybe like a little Mel's hole. And I thought that that was a neat thing to bring up. Just grab a couple things and see where the chat takes us tonight. Kind of like Art Bell used to
Yeah.
do. You never
Yeah,
knew
just
what you
have
were going
those
to
open
get.
lines. You never knew what you're going to get, and that was half the
Right.
fun.
I know. And that was it right there. So I grabbed a couple mixed bag of things, and I thought I'd want to throw out there to the chat and to the mods. If you want to do questions, now I know the eye doctor said I could see. Hey, Dean, welcome in, welcome in. But I still gotta. She found something with my glasses where she's fixed them to where I don't have to do this all the time, and all this is trying to get it set up. So we actually did some of that. I thought that's pretty cool. So we'll see in 2 weeks if that means anything. Maybe I won't get such a crick in my neck. But so I thought I'd throw a couple of those out, and a couple of ghost stories, and a couple of our favorites. So, Steve, over the past couple of weekends, I've been talking about ghost contact. And what I mean by that is I'm trying to change a little bit of the way just sometimes, but just by changing the words, it can change how we look at something. If you catch my drift. So ghost contact, almost like, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. If I have you look at it like just a ghost making contact with you, maybe you wouldn't be so scared to figure, why is he banging my cabinet door? Why are they knocking on the wall? Why are they banging on the pipes? Whatever it may be. Showing up in the hallway, by the bed, across the street, whatever. Because I really think all of that is contact, unless, like I stated before, unless it's a residual. Then there's nothing going on there but a replay. Just doesn't mean that it doesn't have any essence or energy to it. I've never been one to buy into that. It could very well be like an imprint or a replay, but I think that some residual could have actually some energy to it. If that makes sense, Steve.
Yeah,
so
sure does.
If we look at it like contact, we might look at the thing differently if we have an experience with an orb or anything else. Like over the past couple of weeks, we have had to talk about some crazy things. We've had triangles in the sky. We've had drones. We've had plasma orbs. We've had light balls. We've had lasers and Chinese balloons and all kind of other stuff going on. And now there's all this talk this week about disclosure. Again, I wonder what that even means, because to trust the government to tell you that's been lying to you all this time, that they're all of a sudden going to tell you the truth and being excited about that, I don't get it. It's just, I guess they're going to just, tell us, give us a little bit more of what they've had hidden in the shadows, if even that. I think this stuff is coming at, for who knows for what reason. But now I'm hearing about this egg thing. Have you heard about this, Steve?
Which part of it?
It was like and now the thing that's coming out is like 2 weeks ago it was triangles and plasmas and drones, and now it's some kind of an egg-shaped.
No, I hadn't heard about that one.
UFO.
I thought you were talking about the egg shortage. That's a big deal here.
Oh.
I go onto the grocery store app and it tells you where to do this, whatever. Let me read you what it says here. I shop at
Absolutely.
Shaw's.
You want me to pull it up?
Albertson's family here. Stores. Let me see what it says here. It's still up there. Waiting for it to load up. Due to limited supply, eggs may be unavailable. We're working hard to get items restocked. We're making those hens lay double time. But no, maybe that's the eggs that you're seeing in the sky. That's they're making deliveries.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's just it. I heard a man the other day saying he paid $11 for a loaf of bread. Now, it depends on what kind of bread you buy. Because years ago, I took a side job and was, working in bakery, and that bread was pretty high. But so it's very hard to get a handle on it. But if you grab a hold of it, like, eggs are going to go up. I heard it's cocoa beans are getting hard to get. So that means chocolate's going up. And you're probably seeing that now. I'm seeing it in Jersey, where a chocolate bar.
Some places coffee's going up. I think in Canada, They're saying you're going to be paying $12 for a cup of coffee. I mean, you already
Yeah.
do here if you get
Well,
it from Starbucks,
if you
but
go to Starbucks,
I guess they're talking about Tim Hortons up there. But
I'll brew my
either
own.
way, yeah, I'm
I
going to
think I'll
start
brew my
brewing
own.
my own. Do a better
But
job. Dunkin' keeps messing up here. They mess up about every other order. So,
oh my goodness. Well, that's
well,
half the time.
let me show you something.
That's
And
half
it
the damn time, Steve.
says on here, hot coffee for cream. And then I want to show you what. If I get it up here, does that look like 4 cream to you?
No, it doesn't.
There is no cream in that. I
There's no
refunded
cream in
that
that.
one.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. Egg restrictions. You got
If
egg
you can't
restrictions,
make a cup
Chris?
of coffee,
Yeah.
what's your problem?
Yep. Yep. I
I just make my
understand.
own.
Everything is up. Maybe things will start to go down, hon. It's going to take a little bit of a hill, but you'd be surprised how fast things can, come back. So have hope. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to rebuild and structure this, and this time, I guess, treasure it more, because it almost slipped through our fingers. I mean, Lord God, you had people, dancing on the roof of the White House with no shirt on, and all kinds of other crap. Now, look, I'm all for free speech, but come on now, there are lines. There are some lines. At least hold up the dignity of the lie of whatever. Like we're all trying to be moral, and yeah, I mean, just honest to God, I don't want to see that. I want to walk down the street and look, I don't give a. I've said it 1,000 times. So does Steve. I don't give a hell who you're with, what you're doing. I only care who's doing me, and I don't want to see. Everything's fine. Be free. Be cool. Just don't hurt anybody. You know what happened to that? It's like, you know what I mean. So I think we're getting a little bit more back to that, and things will start falling into line. People open factories, people realize they can take some of these towns that have fallen to the wayside, and factories have been sitting closed, and say, hey, what can we do with this? How much would it take to flip it? And what kind of product can we make that we need here in America, and start making this a manufacturing country again? We can make our own damn marbles. Understand how quickly that can turn. How quickly it can churn back and come back. So you guys hang in there. Just count your eggs. If you have to eat less eggs, look, I don't buy eggs, milk, or anything else like that. I've got a whole different.
Well, and then there for a while there was an egg recall because there was stuff in the eggs that's not supposed to be in there. How does that even happen? How do you get something inside an egg unless it's
some of
bad?
it's intentional? I watched them stabbing salmon with a vaccine equivalent the other day. It's in the salmon, wild raised salmon. So when you're buying it, you have to start reading your labels. When you're buying it, if anybody knows, any of the mods know what that, it's a free app, and you can go up and you can scan the UPC on a bag of chips, or on a box of rice, or a bag of dried beans if you want, or oatmeal, whatever, in the store, and it'll give you a rating of how healthy it is or how bad it is for you, from a scale from, I think, 1 to 100, something like that. So you might scan. I know Uncommon Belief knows what it is. If you remember the name of that app, and Joe Rogan's been talking about, some other people, we've been using it for a while. And what it is it'll tell you not just, okay, it's got like these chips have a bad rating compared to these chips with a better rating, but it'll also tell you why. So it'll say it's got seed oils in it, or it's got toxins, or whatever. So you can start being mindful of what you're giving your kids, what you're putting in your body. Listen, B17. Look up the benefits of B17, and ask yourself why in a B complex multi pill that has it like a B complex, why they don't allow it in there. Why? Because it knocks off cancer cells. So all of these things are going to start coming out. A lot of things that were suppressed before, I believe, that are going to come to the forefront. So start digging in and heal thyself.
Oh, I always read the labels. I watch my sodium. I found a few here. There's Food Check, which is a product scanner. FIG, which stands for Food is Good, Food Scanner and Discovery. Okay. And then there's Yucca, which is Food and Cosmetic Scanner.
That's it. Yucca. So scan your cosmetics, go through the drugstore and scan those. Yep, that's it. Like that's it. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's the one. Is it free, Steve? I think it's still free.
Looks like it.
Yep. And, get that. Yep, there it is. It's called Yucca. There's your confirmation. So
Install it right now.
So you can scan anything. I think it's anything with the UPC. Right now they're working on doing pet foods, so you can scan your cat food, your dog food cans, whatever, and see what's best. And I'll tell you, I was surprised. I had what was it, oatmeal? I can't remember what kind. And I did 2 or 3. They were all the same price, and one scored really high, like super good for you, and the other 2 were completely on the other side of the spectrum. And it really helped you decide where to better put your money and what you were eating, and you'd be shocked at the amount of sugar. You know what'll shock you more than anything? The places they put aspartame. Now, I can tell you horror stories on aspartame. Aspartame was developed. If you don't know this, you can go research me. I'm not going to throw dates and names at you, because I'll probably get those wrong, and I don't want that to deter you from the truth. So Donald Rumsfeld is working at a factory, and they're working on multiple things. One of those things was a bug killer for ants and roaches and things like that. And this was when they still had smoke breaks, and he's out there with a couple other chemists that are outside smoking. And the guy who's smoking the cigarette that was just working on this pest killer powder tastes it, gets some on his hands on the cigarette, and tastes it. Man, that's sweet. He starts talking about it. It's, man, that's what I was working on, and it's sweet. And Donald Rumsfeld said, what? Because he had been working in another lab with other people trying to come up with a replacement for saccharin. This is how you got aspartame. It started out as an ant and roach killer and wound up being a sugar substitute that they put in everything. It is in so many things. It's in almost every drink. It's in things that aren't even diet. So it's in just about everything that's no sugar or whatever. And then you've got, isn't that great? But it's in a Milky Way.
Bottle of my core water here, and it says 71 out of 100, which is good. 0 calories, no saturated fat, no sugar added, and no risky additives. There's
makes you feel better, right?
More info. The additives are potassium hydrogen carbonate, which is risk-free. It's an anti-caking agent. Calcium chloride, anti-caking agent, risk-free. And magnesium chloride, which is risk-free. All right there in the app. Isn't that something?
Isn't that nice?
I like this. I'm going to start scanning all my stuff.
So you can scan it all, And like I said, it's real helpful when you're buying, things. And I think you can even use it in some cases in some of the shopping apps, because you can pull up the items UPC on those and look at it ahead of time.
Yeah.
Welcome in, Miss Tessa. Laying eggs, $8 a carton for eggs there, Steve. Look at there.
Yeah.
Ain't that something?
That's amazing.
Hershey's Kiss. Yeah, Hershey's Kiss is going to go up to $1 a kiss here pretty soon if the chocolate keeps going up. So here's the thing. Go out and get your chocolate now before it goes up. Go to the dollar stores, buy up the little candies that they have there, stack it away. What's the best way to store chocolate? I know you can't freeze it. So I guess, depending on the amount of oils that's in it and how much milk is in it, your dark chocolate, go get your cocoa powder and make some of your own fudge or your own, there's not much to make fudge or homemade brownies or whatever. But be very careful about storing anything like those pre-made mixes, like you just add water or just add milk or whatever, because all those powdered, with your new app, you'll be able to tell you this, but all those things have like seed oils in it, and the oil goes rancid before anything else. So it's best to store the ingredients separate, like your cocoa, your flour, your baking soda, your whatever. Don't get the stuff that's all mixed together. You can get powdered things that last longer than that, but just once they start mixing it together, things start going haywire. You know what I mean? So there's that. So interesting. We all learned something.
Yeah, looking for something else to scan, but I don't have anything handy. But anyway,
right?
I like
I'll tell you what. We'll play a little vid. Going back to the ghost contact, I kind of saved this one for you. You had to leave early that night, but I cannot think of, now we've seen this one before. It's one of mine and Steve's absolute favorites. So it's a good time to go get hot water for your tea or go get you some biscuits or whatever. But here's the thing. You want to talk about ghost contact. So you're imagining ghost energy or energy essence of a human being coming back, however it's manifesting, coming from the non-physical, metaphysical, to the physical, okay, and being able to bring back items with them. This blows my mind. That you can touch and feel and that are extremely physical. Imagine, Steve and I have told the story, Gettysburg, sitting in Devil's Den on the rock. Man turns around, the guy who's sitting next to him, real as can be, hands him cartridges wrapped in the gunpowder and everything else of the time, tested and everything else of the time, come through the veil, handed over, and in his hand still. So we've heard many of things like this, but I've never seen one like the Telly Savalas story, where he gets picked up in a ghost car. The ghost, I think they exchange a note, money. He buys the gas.
Gives him a ride, helps him push his car to get it started after he puts some gas in it.
Right. Gives him proof of his name, his phone
Writes
number.
Down his name and phone number, yep.
Matches the clothes he's buried in, and the reason he had a funny voice was also explained. And then, as if that's not enough, Steve, I have the second part as well, where later he comes back while Telly is playing golf and gives him a message that'll blow the socks right off of your nine iron.
These two videos. I wish we knew more.
I know.
I wish we knew more.
I know. And if you knew anything, Telly Savalas is kind of our time. He was a wonderful Greek kind of man's man. You know, him and his brother are actors. He was in the great detective series Kojak, Who Loves You Baby, with the Tootsie Pop, you know. But he did multiple movies, a wonderful actor. And he always had this air about him of no BS. He wasn't there to BS. You couldn't pull his leg. He wasn't going to put up with your crap. You know, that kind of guy. So that's why he's sitting there saying, a guy like me tells you this happened, it happened. So you ready, Steve? I'm going to get some hot water.
Yeah,
and I'm going to play this one through.
I'll be back too.
All right. Telly Savalas.
Enjoy this, folks. It will blow your mind. It's one of the best ever.
It's the best ghost story ever. All right. Here we go.
Moment in time creates questions the human mind cannot answer. Out of reach, past all we can see, hear, and touch, beyond all we understand, lies. The extraordinary.
We listen to bizarre and supernatural stories, told by friends and strangers, maybe with a little grain of salt. But now and then, someone so prominent we can't ignore comes forward, as in this story. It happened on Long Island, New York, to a very famous man.
Now, what I'm about to tell you is true if you want to hear it.
I do want to hear it.
You do want to hear it, then I'll tell you. I was never superstitious.
I'll give you a ride.
But then something happened in my life which scared the hell out of me. And for something like that to happen to me is something that I can't understand to this day. God knows how many years ago. Let me think now. 58, 59. It's a lot of years ago. Now, I just left off a date. Beautiful young girl since left us. And it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going home to Long Island after dropping her off. And as would happen, I ran out of gas. And I go into this White Castle restaurant. I says, is there a gas station open? He says, yeah. He says, you walk through the woods there. He says, get on the Grand Central Parkway, take it to the Cross Island Parkway. He says, and the gas station there open all night. Okay. So I am, start walking through the woods, a wooded area, not the woods, going up, and as I'm doing that, I hear a voice say,
I'll give you a ride.
I turn around, and there's this guy in the Cadillac. And I didn't hear the Cadillac.
You hear the voice, and what do you see?
I see a guy in a white suit, and I hear an effeminate voice. He say, I'll give you a lift. I said, that's very nice. I said, I'm going to a gas station. We get to the gas station, talking very nice. And I'm fumbling around in my pockets. And he says, I'll lend you $1. Well, I didn't ask him for money. And the truth is, I was broke. And I said, well, look, I says, you know, I've worked for the State Department and, well, anyway, give me your name and address, all right? Allow me to mail it to you because I'm very embarrassed. Anyway, I go there, I get a can, pay for the gas. And we start driving back to my car to put the gas in the car, and I thought that was very nice of him. And then of the clear blue sky, he says, I know, I'm not going to mention the name, I know so-and-so. And it's a baseball player. We weren't talking baseball. Oh, I said, who's he? He says, well, he's a
utility infielder for the Boston Red Sox.
Oh, it's so bizarre that he would say it in the spookiest voice I ever heard. He kept driving, get to my car, put the gasoline in. He pushes me to get it started. My car starts. I thank him very much. All in all, it's a very lovely experience to meet someone to help you out like that. No incident whatsoever. Go home, go to work in the morning, get out in the afternoon, this headline in the then Journal American. So-and-so dead. The guy he mentioned in that very spooky voice, age 20-some-odd, young ball player, under very mysterious circumstances. Autopsy and all that stuff. I said, God, what a frightening coincidence. I go home and I says, hey, Ma, isn't that funny? My mother, I think, was part witch. I explained it to her. She says, well, yeah, Telly, strange things that do happen. I said, but. And then I remembered that he gave me a piece of paper for me to send $1 to. And I look at it, and there besides the address is a telephone number. Okay. Pick it up and I call the number. Jimmy's Bar. Oh, I said, well, can I speak to Mr. Cullen, please? Oh, Mr. Cullen, just a minute. Woman gets on the phone.
Who's calling?
Hi, may I speak to Mr. Cullen, please?
He's not here.
Well, when do you expect him?
Who is this?
I says, well, I was with Mr. Cullen last night, and he gave me this telephone number, and he said I could reach him here. She says,
Look, you son of a bitch, I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about my husband, and he's been dead for 2 years.
Anyway, I wouldn't let it go. I did get in touch with the woman again. I did meet her in New York. She came down from Boston. Because, you know, this is a little too much. The clothes I described were the clothes he was buried in. The piece of paper that he gave me signed James Cullen. She brought a letter that he wrote her when he was in the Army. It had Jimmy on that. Outside of that, the signature is identical. There was only one thing that was different. I said, he had a high voice. She said, oh, no, she said. He had a deep voice like yours. Oh. Then it meant he killed himself. This way, right through the voice. Box, whatever. Anyway, this story happened to a guy like me, and as I say, it's been haunting me now close to 40 years.
Telly told us, by the way, that he'd always been a cynic about the supernatural. Until that night. It was at this point that Telly ended his story. But a little while later, and after a little prompting, he gave a glimpse of just how powerfully the incident had affected him. Years later, on November the 22nd, 1963, he was playing golf with two friends when the same man with the same eerie voice reappeared in his life.
I'm playing golf right here in California. And I think it's the 7th hole, or the 6th hole, at El Caballero. I think it's a par 3. And as we're shooting, I'm playing with a famous personality here called Dennis James. And a guy, Merrill Heater, who's the nephew of Gabriel Heater, a commentator in this country. And as we approach the tee, from far away I hear this guy on top of a hill saying, "Telly?" And I turn around. I started shaking because the voice was somehow familiar.
It was the voice of that man dressed in white that long ago night on Long Island.
He said, "Did you hear what happened in Dallas?" I said, "What?" Then I asked Dennis, "Did you hear that?" "Yeah." I said, "What did he say?" "I don't know." And now I'm shaking. We played the 7th hole, played the 8th hole, played the 9th hole. We go inside to get something to eat. We're sitting down. Television is on. I order whatever the hell I ordered. Then Walter Cronkite breaks in. The president has just been shot in Dallas, Texas. Oh, God. That's how I was.
Same voice you heard in that car that night.
Yeah.
A man dressed in white.
And an hour and a half before the bulletin broke on CBS. At time, they shot him. That's only half the story. I'm not going to tell you the rest. It doesn't end there. I wish the hell it would. But as I say, to happen to somebody like me is, I don't comprehend. Because if 2 don't make 4, 2 and 2, it startles me.
Well, there you go. You be the judge. Ted, you're saying it's bullshit and he's not the kind of guy to lie. That's kind of where we all are. Because you kind of go, it's got to be all bullshit. There's no way that could happen. And then you add another story on top of it from a total different person, a total, another time, another place, another time. And similar happens. Here's the thing. I think one of the reasons I love the story, of course, all the obvious reasons, because it's so multifaceted. It's so many layers to it, so much to unpack in that wonderful old Victorian, footlocker kind of thing. It's also because I love the ghost stories where there's some kind of physical connection with things or people or between a human and the ghost, as far as a hug or transference of material things, like I said, or that touch where you can, not just smell the ghost, the perfume or the shampoo or the whatever it might be, the tobacco smoke, but you can also feel their sweater or their hair, or they reach out and touch you and your hand and you feel it. These kind of experiences are, I believe, very hard for people to comprehend. I think it's just as hard for the experiencer to comprehend. And the only thing I believe that's really harder than that is getting somebody to believe it happened. One of the hardest stories I've ever had to try to, and again, I don't try to convince people that this is what happened to me. This is how it happened. This is how it went down. This is what I thought of it then. This is what I thought of it later. And this is what I think of it now. I mean, you can't be more honest than that. But I've had hosts that were supposedly our friends that I was on their show, and you could just tell they didn't believe when what you were saying. And I mean, that's like a hard position to be in. Steve, you might have had it wouldn't be the same as you're retelling a story someone told you.
Yeah.
But it makes a difference if it happened to you and you're retelling your experience, and people that are supposedly understanding in this realm and they don't believe a word you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big ones is if you've had a physical, what's a physical story that you have, or have you ever? I think you have had physical contact, an item, maybe an app hoarding or something along those lines that would be in that category.
Yeah, when I lived in Portland, this is a 100-and-something-year-old Victorian cottage, I would hear it sound like somebody drop a handful of change and to go rolling across the floor. I would find things,
Wow. Yeah.
and I would find coins like out on the back porch, where I hadn't had
Mm-hmm.
any change or anything out there. Find them in the house. Sometimes walk into the kitchen and there'd be a dime or a quarter or something laying in the floor. I was the only one there, and I didn't have any change, and certainly
Mm-hmm.
not run around the house dropping it.
Did you ever look up the dates, or you catch yourself looking at the dates thinking, is this
I
significant for
did, but I
anything?
didn't
Or
really catch any significance or anything, but who knows?
hmm hmm well, that's one thing too, because when I think it comes, well, it's kind of almost redundant to say that you recognize it more once you start paying attention to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's true, because if you're doing that, they realize who's ever doing it. Let's just assume spirit guides or spirit, and they're doing it. You pay attention to it, and they know you're going to pay attention to it. Well, then it might be a date on a birthday or an anniversary or a significant time or something along those lines.
I did find one time that had some significance, but for the life of me, I can't remember what it is
Right.
right now, but it
Right.
did at that time.
Yeah, but you've had other experiences. I think your experience almost like a time slippy kind of thing, where the guy was going around the corner.
Yeah, that was in
That was
downtown
pretty
Portland
solid.
too. Yeah, I thought
Pretty
it was
solid.
somebody dressed up for some kind of steampunk thing or something.
Okay. Yeah.
He was wearing like a long coat and with a cape and
Mm-hmm.
not exactly a top hat, but a gentleman's hat from a different era. And I've been to a record store down there, and I was wearing like a punk rock T-shirt. I had blue hair at the time, and had it spiked up, ripped up jeans, and a leather jacket. And he's looking at me like, and I was looking at him too. We just passed each other around the corner. I whipped around and said, I got to get a good look at that guy's getup. Right back around the corner. I mean, just in a matter of a few seconds, nowhere to be seen. There was a bank building on that side of the block. There was nothing but windows for at least a city block. Very busy traffic on the road there that was on site of. There's nowhere he could have went in that short a time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if
Wasn't that awesome?
back in the
Yeah.
1800s or something, there was a guy strolling a banker or something in downtown Portland, and he saw some weird guy with blue hair and a leather jacket. What is that?
Yeah. Well, see, that's just it. No, but you didn't bump into him or anything like that. He was just pretty damn solid, right? And then you
Yeah,
had
he appeared solid. I didn't try to grab him or anything.
there was the other one, if I recall, where you almost felt like it perhaps was an angel of some sort. It was a coat exchange, but that was your coat.
The angel in the overcoat. I was waiting on somebody in downtown Knoxville outside of a church.
Depends on the
And,
ghost, babe.
Had a guy he was right there. I was sitting in the car waiting patiently, and he was at my window. And he asked me for some money. He said he knew where he could get a chicken dinner for $2 or something like that. And I gave him the $2, and I told
Where's
him, I said,
that?
now,
Did
if
you get the address of that place? I'd like to get me a
Yeah,
chicken
really.
dinner for
I
$2.
don't know where you could. This was in the '80s, but still, I didn't know any place even then you get a chicken dinner for $2.
I know.
But and I told him, I said, I'm going to give you this in the name of Jesus, and if you spend it on drugs or liquor or something, that's between you and him.
Right,
I
right.
give it freely. And he said, "Oh no, I never do anything like that." And it was in the summertime. I mean, I'm wearing a T-shirt, and he said, "You don't happen to have a coat, do you?" He said, "It gets kind of chilly out here at night sometimes." No, I don't think I do. And I just reached around behind my seat. I had a little Toyota station wagon, mini station wagon, and the first thing I put my hand on was a coat that I'd had in there since probably the previous fall, and this was in the summer. So it'd been in there almost a year. It was right there. It was kind of a Columbo style raincoat, but it was
Like a
plaid,
trench.
kind of a brown and orange plaid. It's ugly. I'd bought it at Goodwill for $1
Good God, that
because I
sounds
liked it
hideous.
because it was ugly. And I said, "Well, how about
Sounds
this?" And he
hideous.
said, "Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, if you don't mind."
Wow.
So I gave it to him, and he went around the corner. And again, I said, I'm going to follow this guy and see where he goes. I start the car up, drove around the corner, no sign of anybody anywhere. And this is downtown Knoxville at, say, 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night, I think it was. I'd taken a friend to a meeting at the church, and I was waiting on him. And nowhere he could have went to. And I still, that's
It's another one.
I think it's in, I've got it in one of my books. It's the Angel in the Overcoat.
Wow.
But
well, see, that's what I'm wondering now. I'm trying to think.
I didn't
through the
physically
stories that I
touch
know.
him. We didn't shake
Right.
hands or anything. But he took the money from me and he took the coat from me. That was as close as we got to actual physical contact.
So, have you ever had one where you think that they've walked through you? You know, we've talked about that spider webby feeling and that
I had
electrifying
that
kind
in
of.
Las Vegas in a very active house. I lived out there. My roommate's little dog was in the hallway on the wood floor, and he was like laid out, like had his paws out in front of him and other paws out behind him, whining and crying and going on. And I thought, he's having some kind of medical emergency. And as I started down the hallway, I realized that there was just that feeling, And I said, let go of him right now. And it did. He jumped up and took off back into her end of the house. But then I felt something come down that hallway that was ice cold. And, it ain't ice cold very often in Las Vegas. Ice cold passed through me. I didn't pass through it. It passed across me.
Right through you. And you get that spider web. It's hard to, it's almost like it's
walking
stuck
through
to you and
spider
pulled
webs
through you.
in the woods. Yep.
Like spider webs being pulled through you. And I'm going to tell you that something else. I think that it seems like it might be an obvious observation, but I think there's a different feeling depending on what energy is walking through you, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I've had energies go through me that made me instantly nauseous, sick, headache, just the whole drained. And I've had ones go through and fulfill you with just white, light and warmth and love and everything else. So I've had both. And then I've had the ones in the middle that were just like that sticky spider webby electrical kind of pulley shocky thing. It's like, it feels a little like when you walk across the carpet and then you touch something. Like my cats are scared to death. I'm going to touch them now because every time I touch them, they get a little shock. It's kind of like that, but very mild and all over, but being pulled through you like it's strings, so it's just such a strange feeling. So that could be considered that. But when you have solid things, like one of the stories that I think most people have a hard time believing from me is the Singer Sewing Machine and the Reach Through the Veil. That's in my book, the one that Steve and I wrote. I believe it's one of the first. But the reason being is because I didn't even know. And spoiler alert, if you've not heard the story, I guess I could tell a brief version of it. So my mom and I, she was in the midst of a divorce. So I'm like the youngest of 9 kids. It's like a Brady Bunch. It's a very mixed family. And everybody just went dispersed. My mom and I went to her parents, and we're in my grandparents' little gray house, not far from where I am right now. He built it with his own hands from the Sears catalog. I shit you not. So anyway, there was a coal cellar in here, and in the cellar, he had built a workplace for him and a little sewing room for my grandmother and my great grandmother. And my great granddaddy passed several years before this. And while I was staying there, I had started kindergarten. So that's what age I was. So the bus, it was really cool. The bus used to drop me off right out front, right at the end of the sidewalk. And I'd run right up the sidewalk, right up the steps and inside. And there'd be a big old Zenith television sitting right there as you first walked in the living room. And there'd always be a soap on it, a soap, opera, one of her stories would be playing. And I knew darn well very soon Dark Shadows was going to start. And she always sat and watched that with me. And I played marbles and did other things. But sometimes when it was really hot, and it was still hot when school started here in New Jersey, I used to go down in the cellar for, we'd have baskets of fruit and potatoes and things like that. It was that kind of cold cellar. And sometimes my pop-pop would be down there working in the workbench. And sometimes my great grandmother would be in the sewing room, sewing on an old Singer sewing machine with the pushy pedal with your feet and make the needle go up and down. And sometimes she'd call me in and she'd tell me stories, and she'd sit me on her lap and I'd sew with her, and she'd tell me about the pieces of material she's working on and where it came from and whose shirt it was and what dance they wore to, just all these stories. She had long hair, much like mine's getting now, to tell you the truth, with the braids and everything. It's in her honor. And gray, black, and white, salt and pepper. Some of it was real soft, some of it felt coarse. And she would teach me about our heritage, about Cherokee and Lenape. And she taught me to speak a little Lenape. She taught me a little bit of dancing. She taught me really cool things. Like, she looked at me and she would say things like, oh, ladies today with their makeup and worried about their face and their wrinkles. And, we're just coming into, this is what, 60s, late 60s, just coming into that whole twiggy kind of thing where everybody was just, all tight and skinny. And she's, I don't know why you would want to erase every tear you've ever cried, every smile you've ever smiled, every laugh you've ever laughed. This is your journey, is on your face. And we're proud of that. I remembered things like this and how her hair felt. Shoot up. We left. We didn't stay there long. And, I was very jumbled through my life. My mom and I moved around a lot. She was going job to job. She was a great mom. She was always looking for something better. And we were like gypsies, it was great. Learned a lot. I get out of the military. I have my kids and I go to a family reunion and I'm sitting there and I've been gone from Jersey. I was gone. I was family, nobody tells anybody anything. And I did not know that they had torn down my granddaddy's house. And nobody, like I said, they didn't tell me anything. I knew where my grandmother had passed and everything else. We're sitting around talking and people have been drinking wine and things come out. And in my house, we lived in a haunted house and we didn't talk about it because my dad was just big and bad and mean and didn't want to hear anything about that kind of thing. So we didn't talk amongst ourselves, and stuff was coming out at this party. Somebody mentioned the house being torn down, and I was talking about how sad I was about it. And somebody mentioned my great-grandmother's stuff and my grandmother's things. And I said, hey, whatever happened to that sewing machine? One thing led to another. We get to talking about my grandmother, and I started saying, I'm glad I got to spend time with her, teaching me how to sew and teaching me Lenape and teaching me how to plait hair, and all these other things, and, about tradition. And my one sister got so mad at me, she slammed the photo album she was reading closed. And she says to me, that's it. I've had enough. The bitch. She was something. She says, you're lying. You never saw grandma. You never did these things, And I thought she was jealous because I got to spend time with grandma. This was just in my family. It's complicated. So anyway, she started spitting out all this stuff. One of them left. Didn't want to talk about all this stuff back, those kind of memories. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? She says, now, wait a minute. How old were you? I said, well, I was in kindergarten. So I was 6. You started around 6 back then, I believe, Steve, somewhere around in there. I think it's younger now. And, and you were
when I went, but
well, there you go.
That age, yeah.
Yeah, it's around that age. So, when you were at Granny's house, you were here, you did this and you plaited her hair and you sewed with it. I'm like, hey, yeah. And she says, no, you didn't. She said, I'll tell you what. She said, Granny went down those damn stairs down that cellar, fell, broke her hip, went to the hospital, came out, went recovery. And during physical therapy and recovery after that, there was complications and she passed away. She says, I know it. She said, I carried you on my hip at her funeral. So you never spent any time with Granny in the cellar. You never plaited her hair. You never learned to rabbit dance. You never learned how to speak Lenape or anything else. And I said, I damn sure did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I did. It happened, and I think not because I was special in my family, not because I was maybe closer to DNA or blood or anything else. I think they know your soul and they know the one that's going to carry on the tradition and do something with the information. And it's not so much they loved you best or anything like that. I think they picked the one most qualified or the one dumb enough to keep carrying it on. But
The
here
one
I
that's,
am.
most receptive to it or most open to it.
Here I am, so There you go. And that's the one that people, because they say, no way anything could be physical. No way you could touch something. No way you could sit on somebody's lap. No way you could. But then we start hearing these other stories, Steve.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what else it reminds me of? Do you remember? I think the closest thing I could come up with having experience similar, and it's so different from Telly's, but hearing Telly's made me rethink the time I got that ride where the car disappeared, the angel, if it was an angel or spirit guide or whatever.
I believe that truly was.
You know, but I never thought about the car being part of it until the Telly story, because it could very well have been. I mean, who's to say, right? It could have very well been the car materialized too, and I was riding in a ghost car or materialized car or something manifested.
The people at the place didn't hear it on the gravel or anything, did they?
No. I looked up and it was gone. And there's no taillights going down the street either direction. It's industrial. You know how like they'll take acres and acres and acres and just gray gravel the whole damn thing and then just throw up all these steel buildings, you know, and that's it. And they all look the same. They all got a number on it, kind of almost like a military, you know, kind of makeshift construction industrial. And that's the kind of place it was. So it's you might have a dim parking light every once in a while that they put up or on the corner of one of those buildings, but that was it. And you could see headlights from miles back on all the way to the highway where we come off and nothing. So it could have been a ghost car. So I might have gotten a ride in a ghost car or a spirit car or an angel car, you know. It's so, I mean, you've heard crazier stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'll never know. Or maybe I will one day. Who knows? But what's the chat saying over here? Does anybody ever had an experience? I'm going to go back through the chat and see if I missed any where you were touched or had a physical contact. Now, look, if it was that kind of physical contact, I don't want details here in the chat. Don't, Ted, steady. You know who's going to cause it? If Kat was in here, I'd say same thing. So just if you've ever had a physical touch or was left something physical that came out of nowhere, like Steve Spether, Christmas, it came out of nowhere, right, Steve? I've had a couple that I would say at least two of them for sure got in a locked car or behind, you know, in a locked home where nobody was there before me, materialized out of nowhere. And probably coins, for sure coins. I've got at least a dozen stories of coins. One very profound that came out of nowhere, dropped out of the sky. So hit me in the back. So those things just absolutely floor me because.
What about the necklace that you found too, the cross? That's
true. It's right here. That's true. I'd forgotten all about it. Look at there. It's all tangled up.
Tell them that story if they haven't heard it.
Oh my gosh. All right. So the quick version on that, I'm at Gettysburg and it's 150th anniversary Halloween night. And we're going on we had a couple more things that we had scheduled. I had a little time to kill and it's just about dusk. And the cemetery is about to close. And we're looking at a map. We're on the road, you know, on the side of the road, walking to all these places. We're seeing where we're going next. And my sons and I are standing outside the cemetery. And I said, hey, while you guys figure out which way we're going, I'm going to pop in here and talk to some guys. And I said, I'll be right back out, you know, just a quick, how y'all doing? You know, we haven't forgot you, that kind of thing. You know, thank you for your service. So I go in and I go up to the, of course, all mostly military and, you know, civilians from the time. And they have a section there that's almost like a pie and it's cut in spots and it's all to represent unknown soldiers from all the wars, you know, American wars. And it just, you know, it goes around, has a little plaque for each, you know, each section. And you can walk, it's so big, you can walk up in the center of it. So I do that. And I walked up the center of it because as I'm going through, I can feel energy standing around and guide and kind of coming up slowly. Like you get their attention and they kind of like, what's over here? What's going on? And there's kind of a gathering of energies and just different kind of light. And I can feel them as they're coming in. And one of them was very much how do I describe it? Very, I can only say survivor guilt was what hit me. And I was like, I'm not leaving him standing there. I'm going to talk to him. So I said some things. And at the end, like I said, it was very fast. I said, I couldn't think of anything else to do to kind of quell all the energy there, not just walk away. So to kind of close it off and finish it, I said the Lord's Prayer out loud. And I gave it to everybody, and I blessed them, and I wished them well, and I hope that they find the light and move on. And I turned around to leave, and as I'm walking out of the gate, I can see my sons outside by the street light. And I know we're getting ready to close, and I can see guards walking around in the distance, moving people out, checking, moving the field. So as I'm walking away, I feel this something on my shoulder, and I think it's a guard. Move along, lady. We're about to lock the gate kind of thing. And I turn around to say something. Nobody's there. And as I turn back, I see my son bend down and kick something with his foot and go reach down to pick it up and look at me up the sidewalk as this happens. And I'm thinking right away to myself, I'm a rock collector. Everywhere I go, collect rocks. I pick up rocks, put them in my pocket. That's what I bring home, put on the shelf. I have rocks everywhere, crystals, rocks everywhere. They all have a meaning, and I remember every one. And they know that. They've been doing all their life. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, he's found a rock. I'm going to have to tell him I have to drop it because I will not take anything off this hallowed ground, period. It's all belongs to them. And I would never carry something off of that cemetery ground. And I'm getting ready to have to say that after something that just happened, him touched on the shoulder. And I'm walking towards him. He starts walking towards me. And as he comes up to me, I can feel this feeling changing because my son's got it too. Trust me. He's probably the most gifted in the family. And he's the one who holds it back the most. But he gets it. And he's walking towards me. And he's kind of got this look on his face. I'm like, what? And he goes to hand me something. I'm getting ready to tell him about the rock. Leave it here. It's theirs. And he smiles and he says, they said, this is for you. It goes, bam. And it's a crucifix with Christ on the cross. I just got done saying the Lord's Prayer. And before I left, I said, I hope you heard me. And then I get the tap on the shoulder, bam. And I said, what do you mean that? He said, I don't know. And then he doesn't want to talk about it anymore. He said, this is for you. So that was validation to me that they had heard me. And I don't take it off. And it's got a caveat like Telly's, where I'm at a medium ability class. And my teacher, who's one of the best mediums I ever met in my life, and that's saying something, I met a few, we're supposed to bring in something for psychometry. I think I have that right. The touch, where you get the sense from the touch. And you're supposed to put it in an envelope and seal it, not tell anybody it's yours, not mark the envelope in any way. And me, I never was one to do homework. So I forgot to bring an item. So I'm like trying to catch up and everybody's got their item. And I said, oh, shoot, what am I going to do? So I take this off my neck with nobody seeing me. And I put it in the envelope and I seal it up and I put it on the table. Later, we're all getting in chairs and we just go over the table and you put your hand over the envelopes. They're all laid out. And the one that you get a feeling about, you pick that up, you sit in a chair. And then somebody's going to sit in front of you with their envelope. And you're each going to take a turn on guessing what's in the envelope, and you also have to guess who you're going to be sitting in front of because there's no item markers on the envelope. So it's really tricky. So I'm sitting in the chair and all of a sudden this medium who picked up, pretty sure she's got my envelope. She says, I feel this is yours. She sits down and she starts like making faces. She's going, what? Okay. You're going to think I'm crazy. I'm like, Barb, I won't. She starts telling me, I see men, several different men in uniforms. I don't know what the uniforms are. They're all different, but I don't know enough about military uniforms to tell you what they are. I said, can you tell me the color? She's telling me, what I'm picking up is dress green and dress blue. There was a white. There was a more of a combat type thing. So there's all these different, and I'm like, mind blown. And she's looking down and looking up at me and smiling and looking back down and looking at me. I said, man, just say it, Barb. She said, they gave this to you for protection. It's a gift from spirit. And I'm like, what? And I said, open it up, look inside. And I told her the story. She was mind blown. But that's the thing. That's the whole reason I started this channel. For so many, reasons, for survivors and, people of different experiences to be able to tell their story and be believed, all of that on top of it too. But it's also for this, because people miss the beauty of this amazing genre, this amazing thing we're all involved in, and why people are always constantly, no, to something that's so natural and so awesome. It just blows my mind. Right, Steve?
Yeah.
So that's the story of that. So that's physical. Now, I don't know if that was a manipulation of, it was there all along. It wasn't on the cemetery. And believe me, I tried to give it back. The lost and found, did due diligence, everything. It was meant to be here. There's no two ways about it. I never got a taker, and believe me, I tried, because I wanted it to be, prove me wrong. I'm not, tell me I'm crazy, that kind of thing. But once Barb said that, it was just, that was a validation. So I don't know if it was manipulated, that something was already physically here and they just manipulated him to find it and, moved it around under the autumn leaves or whatever. Who knows? But there you go. It's crazy. Let me see what else I got up here. I know I got a couple other things. You ready for another one? I'm about ready for some hot water.
Yeah. Did you have the part 2 of that, Taylor, or did I miss it?
You probably missed it. I played it.
Oh,
Do you want me? It was about the golf course
break. Okay, yeah, the golf course. Okay, sorry, I missed it.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, it told about him. The amazing part of it where he gets the announcement. He's on like the 6th hole, par 3, I believe, and he hears that guy standing on a hill off to the side with an umbrella, I think, in the same suit, and he recognizes the voice. He's with that other guy. What was it? Wait a minute.
Dennis James from the Nighttime Price is Right.
Dennis James. Why can't I get a visual of him? Dennis James. Can you pull him up on your phone? Show him. I'm gonna pull this up.
I won't be able to see it
I'm gonna
on
screen.
my phone, but let me pull it up here.
I'll screen. Maybe
You'll
there's one.
Recognize him as soon as you see him. Yeah, he did the Nighttime Price is Right.
Yeah. There it is right there. I mean, I'll give you a ride. That's just crazy. But this is the whole breakdown of the Telly story. Both parts of it is here. This is a great breakdown. This is normal plus paranormal .org. If you want to go on the inner tubes and see that. There's the whole story there on YouTube, a link to it, and a breakdown of what happens in that. But also, they had here, I thought it was interesting, the supernatural twist. Can you guys see this? I hope so, or else I'm looking like an idiot. Yeah, okay. Let me see if I can get back to it again. In these haunted, he's talking about after, like almost like the haunted hitchhiker, even though Telly was really the hitchhiker. The person that was broke down, the ghost pulled up and picked him up, which is even a big of a twist. In these haunted hitchhiker stories, we often hear of it's typically the living who ends up providing a ride to the deceased. But in this account, it is the other way around, which I find quite fascinating. I do too. Also, the ghostly man in white seems to stick around for a prolonged period of time instead of just simply vanishing without a trace. Not only interacted with the physical world around Sabalas, but also apported objects for Sabalas to use as well. Absolutely mind-blowing. And that's what Steve and I are talking about. At the end, here we go. The precognitive statement of phenomena. Steve, you usually remind me of, he not only predicted on the golf course the shooting in Dallas before it happened, I believe.
Yeah.
What he said, like a full hour or so.
Yeah, by the time they got to the clubhouse, which was, I think, after the 9th hole, so it was a while, it just came on the TV while they were sitting there having lunch.
Right. Yeah. And that was well before, or at the same time, not much before, it could have been right before it all happened, because I don't know how long it takes to walk, and get to the So it was definitely
There's Dennis James.
telling
I
of the
shared
future.
it out of Wikipedia. You'll recognize him as soon as you see him.
You shared it where? Oh, down here. Let me go grab it. Hold on one second. Let me stop the screen. There we go. Oh, okay. All right. Now I
recognize
do.
him
I
now?
do. Yep.
Yeah.
I do that black dyed hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was on. Now I was looking him up because I wondered if he ever told his side of that story. You know.
Oh, that's a good thought. I didn't think about chasing. I was trying to get a hold of Telly's brother. He's gone.
Yep. I
Telly
did
had
too.
a son. I don't know if.
I went and researched the brother too, just to see if he ever wrote it in his biography, or because they did a couple of cookbooks and things like that. But somebody tell me the rest of this story, because that's incredible that he would come back and do that prediction. But I think it's possible, and Telly's being cheeky monkey there too, saying that's not. There's a lot more to it. I wish it would end. So he's probably come to him almost like a spirit guide in a way.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And probably since he was a suicide, he's probably working off some karma, vibration, weight, chains that he forged in life, whatever you want to call it. But we know that they do that. So maybe he latched on to Telly and maybe helped him through a few things. We'll never know. But it's just so interesting that these things get blown off so easy, and there's so much depth to them. Like, my own family that are related to these people. And you'd think that, oh my God, think about this. I'm in a room with how many generations of my family? My kids are there. So at least, 3, 4, all different ages, their families. And you're talking about everybody's great grandmother, at least half the room, his great grandmother, coming back to give these messages of love and heritage and culture, and life goes on and everything else. And all they can think to do is call you a liar and fight about it. And it's just, and it's not the times are in. I mean, that was in, the 90s. It happened in the 60s, and, it's 25, 30 years later that, I found out that it was a ghost story. So that's how profound it was, But then to have people, like I said, when I brought this up, in the paranormal, that say they believe, and you give them such a profound experience, just like Telly did. And instead of trying to learn from it, it's like, how does this happen? And being amazed by it, they right away just want to, it's too much for them. They shut the door and go, nope, 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 nope. That just amazes me. How, like, you could believe in Bigfoot, but not Dogman, or where's your line? Because I don't know where mine is. I admit real quick, when you get to a certain level, I don't understand anymore. And that's why I don't have a lot of people might say, how come she doesn't reach out and have this person over here that talks about, I don't know what, make up something. If I don't know about it, I don't know if they're lying to you. Does that sound silly? Is if I don't know what they're talking about, I haven't vetted them, and they're making stuff up out of whole cloth, and they're spouting some kind of nonsense. We got enough of that going on that we got to weed through. So I don't know if I'm bringing you bad information. And it can be dangerous in this subject. There's no two ways about it. I've seen, if you're talking about the supernatural, I can honestly tell you, I've seen the supernatural heal miraculously and kill without compunction. You tell me that's not dangerous. That's an amazing amount of energy in just one subject. Am I right, Steve?
Absolutely.
There you go. All right. Did we say we were ready for another one?
Yeah. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
All right. Let's see what we got now. This one might be a surprise. This one I dug up. Let's see if I got some shorties. I do. Now, I've got a couple of real quick shorties. Let's knock a couple of these out real quick and see what you think. Do you think this is real ghosts, or do you think it's BS? So, come back, come here. What is that one called? Oh, it's a 5. I'll get this down. If you could see this, it's quite the mess. All right, here we go. Start her over again. Now look in the mirror.
I don't know. I don't get a weird feeling in this room at all. Do you feel weird, Becca?
I actually do feel kind of weird in this room.
Yeah?
It's that we know what happened here. and we
Sure.
know the story behind it, and overall, I think it's just pretty creepy.
I don't know. I don't get a weird feeling in
Did
this
you
room
see
at
it?
all. Do you feel weird, Becca?
I actually do feel kind of weird in this room.
Yeah, but you can't tell if it's real or made up.
And we
Sure.
know the story behind it, and overall, I think it's
Wow. I'll tell you what. The part I like about that one. Oh, no, 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 no. The part I like about that one is at least if they faked it, they tried to make it look as real as possible. It wasn't just a GIF I know that's out there, a layering, gel or something like that I know is out there. Another one that comes to mind is the little girl in the fire and back and forth, just like the what's that Bigfoot one called, Steve? The one where Bigfoot looks over shoulder. Patterson Gimlin. There we go.
Patterson Gimlin film. Yeah.
So every time you bring that up, everybody just splits in two. Goes, oh well, it's been debunked, it's been faked, and then you've got other people say, no, it hasn't. The debunkers were debunked, and no, this guy came and confessed on his deathbed, and this guy made the outfit. I mean, you always get back and forth, back and forth. You get it with the fairies, you get it with so many different things.
Everything.
So, oh God, everything, yeah. So that's what I'm saying about. It's going to be so hard for the paranormal coming forward with AI and everything else. I mean, I have a family member that is currently sending somebody else that I know AI videos from game shows and talent shows and things like this, where this person walks out on the stage, obviously AI, sings a song and just like all of this, cut and edited stuff. And it's so obviously fake and they have no problem believing it. I'm thinking there's no hope left. And then you've got people who look at this stuff all the time and can right away tell you, okay, well, it's got horizontal lines in it. So it was obviously videotaped over. There's people that can do that and break apart pixels and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So I get that there's different levels, but somewhere in the middle is the rest of us goofballs trying to sort out this mess, and it's going to get harder and harder and harder. And Steve and I have seen that in our time, in the decades we've been in this.
Yeah.
We've gone from, my God, Steve, we've gone from 35 millimeter film and don't open the door. We're developing, and it's my sister running around with the brownie cameras and the everything was black and white, and to 8 tracks and cassettes to FLIR cameras, and now we got drones with cameras flying straight up a ghost. You know what? It's just, we've seen it all. I just, can't imagine what another 10 years or 20 years, it'll be just, you can push a button and the ghost will appear in front of you in a chair, just have a conversation, make you a sandwich, and, you can fly off to Mars together or some mess. I don't know. I can't imagine it getting any crazier. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, let's see which this one is. I'm going to get some hot water. Here we go.
3,000
This looks
miles
good.
away in Ohio, another family believes they're not alone.
The family had been hearing noises at night. They would wake up in the morning and find things moved, overturned, broken dishes and glasses.
Searching for the cause, the father leaves the video camera rolling overnight. This is his amazing tape. Watch as the glass moves across the table, apparently on its own.
And then we see a typewriter move, which is not plugged in.
Next, a chair slides away from the table, and the recliner mysteriously begins to rock back and forth.
Then we hear the front door of the house, left of the rocking chair, open and then close.
John Osborne offers his opinion of these disturbing images.
I've watched it countless times looking for any evidence of foul play, and I couldn't find it.
Across the country, a man renovating his house videotaped something that appears to be even more disturbing.
Contractors were complaining that they would come in the morning and their tools would be moved and there would be damage. So he decided to set up a hidden camera to catch vandals.
But what the camera records is not the work of any vandal.
Well, the chair in this shot is pretty shocking, sliding across the floor. But the most shocking part of this particular piece of footage is the piece of sheetrock that's actually being ripped from the wall and pulled up and away. If it were just falling, it would have fallen just straight down under the force of gravity. This, on the other hand, was pulled up and away. It's very astounding stuff.
Although unsettling, these poltergeists appear to mean no harm. But other cases are far more sinister. Meet professional demonologists, Ed and Lorraine Warren.
A poltergeist can be terrifying. So anybody says that a poltergeist is mischievous, they better take a second look.
During their 50 years of hunting ghosts, Ed and Lorraine claim to have encountered hundreds of poltergeists. They've also been the subject of numerous books and have consulted on several high-profile cases, including the Amityville Horror.
A poltergeist is nothing more than a devil or a demon as far as we're concerned. People say, this guy's going back into the medieval ages. There are no such things as devils or demons. Yes, there are.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come.
The Warrens feel that some of the most compelling evidence ever recorded has been videotaped by them in this Connecticut home. For months, the family, whose faces are obscured to protect their identity, have been tormented by what they fear is a poltergeist. Ed attempts to communicate with the troubled spirit.
One knock for yes, two for no. Are you a man? Are you a boy?
The mother leans against the kitchen table, her hands in full view as Ed continues asking questions.
You want the people in this house to move. One knock for yes, two for no. Yes. Okay.
We couldn't sell.
Who is it that you don't like the most here? Is it? Is it? Is it their father? Is it their mother?
Oh my God.
Okay. I command you to reveal your identity.
Next, Ed decides to confront the poltergeist alone.
Give me some sign. Is that you moving something? Give me some sign that you're here. What I did was use religious provocation. I have to provoke it into some type of outward manifestation. And that was my point in doing that. In the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to reveal your identity.
On the following night, the family reports that the poltergeist seems to be more active than ever. Only now its attention is focused on the family's 10-year-old daughter.
What we see here, the little girl is trying to do her homework, but you can see that the chair keeps sliding backwards.
You're holding it down, aren't you? It's got that much strength to it.
Now, if you watch, you can see the little girl's legs are up on the rungs of the chair. She's not pushing herself up from the floor. The mother is not tipping that chair backwards. No. Nobody is touching that table. The table moves of its own volition.
Holy cow.
Don't be scared.
Sadly, this frightening ordeal finally drives the girl to tears.
We've done this many times, so
Okay, honey.
everything's going to be okay, dear.
Yep, it's trying to talk to us.
All right?
Okay.
But the haunting continues. Later, as the daughter tries to sleep, an invisible force appears to be shoving her out of bed.
Bring me forward. Oh. All right, yeah.
The Warrens quickly arrange for 3 priests
Knock once for yes.
to perform an exorcism in the home, and the disturbance ends.
Is there a spirit in this house?
But for how long? Could the angry poltergeist ever return?
We have found that it can be quieted down, but then it'll escalate again. We still keep our fingers crossed because it could, and we hope and pray it don't.
3 a.m. I awoke from a dream, and I looked above my head, and I saw the torso of my brother floating above my head.
And this presence comes in the room, and I literally get paralyzed. My body gets paralyzed, and it's as if somebody's holding me down, and I can't move, and I can't speak.
He had this like beautiful white aura all around him, and I remember him just looking at me and telepathically telling me not to be afraid, that he wasn't going to hurt me.
So I couldn't scream, I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. So I closed my eyes, I opened them again, and she's still standing there, and she's just staring at me like this.
When the Australian rock group Wild Land set out to shoot this music video, they never expected to make contact with the other side. The crew spends the entire day shooting in the deserted mining town of Glen Davis. The weather is stormy, and the mood in this remote location is unsettling.
It was absolutely freezing cold. The whole place felt very eerie. It actually felt like a ghost town.
Later, when the film is processed, it exposes a startling image that appears to be a mysterious figure of a man standing in the background amid the concrete ruins.
There was no face on the figure, and the face was slightly disjointed from the body.
Everyone who was there that day insists the figure isn't human.
When I shot it, there was no one there. I had people beside me looking the same way that I was looking. No one was there. Totally unexplained.
I mean, besides the crew, there was nobody, for kilometres around the place. There was just nobody anywhere.
Some believe that this ghostly apparition is the spirit of a miner lost years ago in a terrible disaster.
There were numerous accidents in the mine where men were killed. There were men that had their heads severed there. There were a number of men who drowned. One particular body was found not far from the site of where the ghost appeared.
But there is one more possible explanation. In the 1950s, young priests were schooled in this desolate place. One of them met a tragic end.
The locals tell us there was a suicide which occurred at the site where the video took place.
Is this mysterious figure wearing the robes of a holy man? No one will ever know for sure, but the people who were there that day think they know the answer.
There was no doubt in my mind whatsoever that that was a ghost. That definitely was a ghost.
Back in the United States, another apparition is believed to have been caught on tape. For months, the family inside this Pennsylvania home claims to hear strange footsteps in the middle of the night. In an attempt to determine the origin of these ghostly noises, the family sets up a video camera in the hallway. This is what it captures. Watch as the glowing shape floats down the corridor, then appears to enter a doorway. What is this phantom image?
There's Granny's arm.
Edgar Harris believes that it's the arm of his dead mother, who once lived in the house.
She had a tendency to get up and wander at night, so that's probably what she's doing now. She's wandering around.
Why does it seem that his mother is haunting their home? Well, Edgar thinks that she's become the guardian spirit of her great-grandson, who now lives there.
I think she comes and watches him when he's in his cradle at night and just watches over everybody in the house.
Is this really a gentle spirit from beyond? For Edgar, the videotape speaks for itself. But this mystifying footage pales in comparison to what's been captured here in Greencastle, Indiana. This weird tale begins with these two men, Guy Winters and Terry Lambert. For years, Guy and Terry have heard rumors about a haunted mansion on the outskirts of town.
People would see a ghost of a female, an apparition that would drift down the lane that led to this old house.
Intrigued, the men decide to investigate the deserted house with their own cameras. This is the actual videotape from that unforgettable night.
It was probably around midnight. The storm was going, lightning crashing.
Lightning like I've never seen. It was like dripping plastic out of the sky. Really strange.
And in the clump of trees there was this big two-story old brick mansion, abandoned, kind of dilapidated looking.
Unaware of what awaits them, Guy and Terry go inside.
Everything throwing shadows through the house, so it was pretty eerie. And basically, we took a series of pictures all through the house, upstairs, downstairs, stairwells.
Terry claims that he then ventured back outside to take more photos.
I took a series of 3 pictures of an upstairs window. And after I took that series of pictures, I went around to the back of the home and I took a picture of a doorway.
Still in the house, Guy continues his investigation, but suddenly he feels that he's no longer alone.
I felt this presence come over me, and the smell was like sulfur and roses. Real strong smell.
You hear that? Heartbeat? Pump, 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 pump.
And this heartbeat was in my head, but it wasn't my own heartbeat. I really felt like I was dying. This feeling of anxiety was just overwhelming. And I was afraid I wasn't going to make it out of there.
Guy and Terry run from the house, afraid to stop until they reach the safety of their van. But this ghost story is far from over. When Terry develops the film from his still camera, he's shocked by what he sees. 3 consecutive pictures of what appears to be a woman glowing in a pink light floating in the second-story window. Another pink shape is captured at the back door.
Pretty much, it blew me away, I have to say. I've never seen anything like that on film.
Could this be the ghost of Greencastle, or merely a photographic abnormality? To find out, Guy and Terry showed the pictures to their friend, photo expert Mick Orman.
All I can tell you is that what is in the picture came from the negatives. It's very interesting and a little unnerving.
Next, these mysterious images were analyzed by computer graphics expert Sean Dempsey. It's during Sean's high-tech examination that the photograph reveals another startling secret.
And then I tried something called bas relief, which basically takes the light and dark parts of the picture and emphasizes them. And I got the creepiest thing from this one photo. Her face, and I don't know how else to describe it, but that to me just looks like a skull. I've got to be honest, it's either a real photo of a ghost or it was done with a photographic technique that I don't know about.
With experts at a loss for answers, Guy and Terry have their own theory. They now believe they photographed a real ghost. But if this is true, then whose spirit is it? Guy believes that the Pink Lady is a woman who lived and died here in the early 20th century. Her name, Irene O'Hare, the same name that they found scratched under one of the bedroom walls. Guy and Terry make more trips to the mansion, but the ghost of Greencastle does not reappear. However, the men capture 2 other images that are just as difficult to explain. The first is this photograph of what appears to be a woman in a flowing gown. Due to her intense color, she is known as the Gold Ghost. The second strange event occurs while Guy takes pictures of the mansion. Suddenly, 3 cloud-like shapes fly by. Is this merely fog or some type of mist? If so, it would need a strong breeze to travel this fast, but Guy's clothes and hair never move, indicating that no wind is blowing. Unfortunately, these and other questions may never be answered, because the mansion was destroyed to make way for this cornfield. But the memories of the Greencastle mansion live on with Guy and Terry, who may have done the unthinkable, capturing images of visitors from the other side.
What awakened me was a smell, a very distinctive smell. It was the body smell of my mother, who had died 9 years ago.
It came and it passed through my body. And as it passed through my body, I felt this incredible sense of joy, release of all worry, tension.
I could feel the air in my ear. I could feel like a vapor going into my ear. She was trying to tell me something. And I screamed. I mean, I screamed because I was so terrified.
On the island of Hawaii lives a 5-year-old girl who seems to have a ghostly guardian. Her name, Carissa. Since she was 4 months old, her family believes that she has been surrounded by a mysterious presence.
She kept looking behind my left shoulder, and she kept giggling. Then I just put her down on the floor. I laid her down on a quilt and took 3 photos of her. And when I had it developed, the pictures came back, and there were these 2 ribbon-looking like objects, and she was looking down at it.
No one can see these ghostly images except in photographs.
I took 2 photos of her in her swing, and when we had the photos developed, they were back in the photos.
Picture after picture, these unusual entities have been captured hovering near Carissa. Her family insists that whatever is behind this phenomenon is not of this world.
Until somebody can give me a really great argument that these aren't what we think they are, then I'm going to believe that they are some sort of being that's allowing us to photograph them.
Of course, the only person who can shed any light on the subject is Carissa, but she's too afraid to talk.
When I put her to bed at night, sometimes she'll say, "They're scaring me." When I question her about it, I can't get any real definite answer out of her.
So for now, Carissa's family says that all they can do is accept these unusual visitors.
What we're seeing in the photos, it's just saying, we're here, we're a part of your world. You have to trust and believe in us too. And just because you can't see us with your eyes doesn't mean that we don't exist.
Carissa's story is strangely similar to the motion picture, The Sixth Sense.
You know the accident up there?
Yeah.
Someone got hurt.
They did?
A lady. She broke her neck.
Oh my God, but you can see her?
Yes.
Where is she?
Standing next to my window.
In this frightening film, an 8-year-old boy named Cole can see ghosts.
Baby, why are you shaking?
But his mother sees nothing.
Cole, what's wrong?
That is, until she examines photographs of her son. It's then that she realizes in each photo, Cole is seen with mysterious lights, apparitions from another dimension.
I want to tell you my secret now. I see dead people walking around like regular people.
For millions, this is pure entertainment. But for one 6-year-old boy, this big screen ghost story is all too real.
Hello?
His name is Justin Quinn. Like Carissa and the boy in The Sixth Sense, his baby pictures revealed him to be surrounded by unexplained white lights. But as Justin grew older, these ghostly images took on a more human form.
The first experience that I remember was him saying that he saw a man standing in the doorway of his room.
He was standing there, then he walked away, then walked through the other way.
Justin also claims to have been visited by a second apparition, that of a young girl.
I didn't say anything. I was just scared and going under my covers and peeking under, and then she's still there. And she's coming closer and closer and closer and closer.
James Van Praagh, world-renowned medium and best-selling author of Talking to Heaven, visits the Quinns' Connecticut home in an attempt to make contact with the ghosts.
Hello, how are you? Good. Nice to meet you. Your way.
As cameras roll, Van Praagh meets Justin for the very first time.
Hi, Justin. How are you? Good.
When I first walked into this house, I felt definitely a denseness to it, a denseness of the energy in the house.
Can you sit here? I'll sit up here.
Next, Van Praagh begins the delicate process of questioning the shy boy.
Do you see them stand there?
Yeah, I said one little girl and standing in my room.
What did she look like? Was she blonde hair?
Her had scribbly hair.
I've worked with many, many children, and children are very aware. They're very open. They're very sensitive to the spirit world because they're very close to the spirit world.
Where's your room?
Justin shows Van Praagh where he first saw images of the man and little girl.
Oh, this is a nice room. Is this where you saw the little girl?
This is when I was...
You were here. And were you sleeping or were you awake?
awake.
You were awake?
Every single time I'm awake.
Next, they moved to the basement, where Justin also claims to have seen the two apparitions.
Are they in that room there?
They're in the closet hiding.
What do you think she likes to play in here?
The toys.
The toys, exactly. She likes the toys.
And sometimes her plays with the game.
Why would these spirits be haunting this otherwise happy home? During Von Praagh's investigation, he senses what could be the answer.
I have a feeling that around this area, this location, was a place where there were gallows. And that might sound very, very strange, but a place where there were people that were killed.
After an hour with a boy, Von Praagh comes to a shocking conclusion. Justin has been seeing ghosts. Von Praagh knows because he believes he's seen them too. Back in the kitchen, he explains his psychic vision to Justin's mother.
I just tuned in to see what was going on. What I picked up was, I picked up two girls. I picked up also one with long blonde hair, similar to yours but lighter. Okay. And I picked up there was a man holding their hands. And the man I picked up, it was very interesting because it felt like a father figure to me. And I saw a very long, drawn face.
I'm starting to.
His cheeks are much thinner.
Yeah, I guess.
Von Praagh describes the spirits to a police sketch artist.
Much longer thin.
Much longer?
Much thinner.
Much thinner.
And much rounder eyes. And dark.
Now, for the first time ever, the rest of the world can see the visions that have been haunting Justin.
Look at her. That's that girl in your bedroom, huh? Is that her?
Yeah.
Does that look like her?
Yeah.
I think that indeed he does see spirits in the house. He's very attuned to that energy. And his mind has not been clouded yet by society. So he's very aware, very open, very innocent, if you will.
So, what does the future hold for Justin and his real-life sixth sense? Only the spirits know for sure. And for now, they're not telling.
Well, how about that? There's a couple of them. So many things to unpack there. I wanted to stop and Steve, what do you want to say about any of those that we just watched? I mean, there were some in there with the physical contact. There were some in there with on camera. The one that sticks with me is the grandma going back and forth down the hallway and catching just a glimpse of the arm.
Yeah.
It's important to remember sometimes you're not going to see the whole thing. Sometimes just an arm or a torso, maybe a head. You know, we've had those, you know. Which one stuck out to you?
The arm. The arm.
Yeah.
That's just creepy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And it reminded me a little of one of my favorite ones. And if you guys remember it, if you've been a listener for a while, it was, I believe they put up a camera in the living room. And we're seeing a lot of them because of that. And I think these are some of my favorites. So the camera just catches, you know. And I guess somebody knocks on the door, and a full apparition of an older lady. You could tell she's wearing a sweater, probably sweatpants. You can tell how her hairstyle and the whole thing, glasses. And she reaches and opens the door. That at the same time the guy is coming in, and she just kind of dissipates off, off camera. It's an incredible catch, things like that. There was another one where the apparition was walking like that to answer the door, but you could tell she was dressed in a skirt that was kind of at the knee. The shoes she was wearing, it was more like in the 50s, 60s kind of era of what somebody would have been wearing, and fit the description of a person who had died, the owner of a house. It kind of had a backstory and the whole thing. So those are kind of some of my favorites. But in this one with the kids, we just watched, my birthday just passed, and that night we watched, it was Tuesday night movie over on Rumble. So if you're not there on Rumble, get over on Rumble, because this one's going to be a doozy. This one coming up Tuesday is Nefarious, and it is going to tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. There's nothing like Exorcist or Rosemary's Baby. It's not even that visual. Everything is real, and that's what's scary about it. If you catch my drift, if you've not seen it. Steve, you said you hadn't seen either one,
I haven't
right?
seen it, yeah.
So basically, the reason I'm picking these two is, like I said, it's a yin and yang, because I don't want to give you something that's so, like I tried to describe last night, it's kind of going from the dark to the light and giving you a lot to work with and a lot of tools and information there. And then the ravine kind of goes from the dark to the light and gives you even more and reinforces that. So when you leave Tuesday night, you're going to spiritual warfare. You're going to either go, okay, I got a good grounding. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm standing in my journey, in this, everything that's going on in this world. And you've got some tools to work with, the little things that are said in Nefarious, like the little yeses, the little nos.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks it's such a big crossroads. Sometimes we inch towards the wrong direction. How many of us have inched down? It's like life. Think of life as a big interstate, and or parkway. It has all these exits on it, and we decide to take an exit and go, oh wait, well, whoa, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Let me back myself up and start to try that again.
Back up the off ramp.
Yeah, and I think we do that a lot. And the cool part is, one of the things that just gets me so excited about this subject, and like I say all the time, I think that people overlook or miss or just, aren't picking it up because they're focused in another direction. And that's, fine. It's a lot to wrap your head around, but along the way, I think it's gotten lost. The heart of it, the sense of it. And if you don't have that, what are you doing with the rest of it? And I think that they tried to cut it out in the shows. It kind of got backed off, and I think it's coming back now. I think we're making that pendulum is swinging. The paranormal pendulum is swinging back, where we're bringing in more of the senses, the sixth sense, the kids. Hopefully we're listening to them, because I think that's the worst thing, is when they're going through something like the kid with the sixth sense. And that was so spot on. And that's another reason I'm showing these movies. I'm not going to show you one that just, look, we could watch Airplane, we could watch, but what are we going to learn other than, who speaks jive and who doesn't, whatever, it's fun. And I'm going to try to set up a night where we do a lot of, more comedy, fun stuff, maybe to get us through the end of the week or something. That would be cool. But for right now, what I'm using that block for is to give you guys tools as light workers, because man, it's been hard. Let's admit it, going out tonight, that, look, everything that, God bless everybody in the California fires. God bless everybody that's lost their homes. It's easy to think, okay, these people have money, they have insurance. No, well, hold on. Back that truck up. Not everybody did, because in April, two of the major insurance companies out there because of laws that were made and pending in California. It made it very difficult for insurance companies to charge enough to where the risk they were taking due to wildfires in California, they pulled the fire insurance. So most of these people, it started out as like 1,600 families and grew to it's up into the you know, just thousands and thousands. So here you have this big old house. Well, they lost everything. Then you've got the carpetbaggers and the coyotes and the vultures coming in to try to buy up the land. And, and now there's a block on that. So even if you want to sell your land to the dirt that your house was on, there's a block. So there's so much going on. There was so much still going on in California. People are freezing their butts off all over the place. Tennessee, we feel all that as light workers. We feel all that as the empathy of it. You're hit with just nature being thrown out of whack. So any of these tools that we can get out of some of these brilliantly made films, and that gives us hope or strengthens faith or gives you an idea or explains something to you or reaches out and touches you. What I'm doing to pick these movies, it's not just because it's a good movie or I liked it or whatever. I'm giving it to the spirits and saying, hey, I've got 5 movies available to me. Which one should I play now? And I'm letting them do it. So you're a part of that. If it's a message in there for you and a personal thing, it might be like your granny said, Steve, it might just be for you.
Yeah.
If it gives you a little strength, helps you move on, pull through something that you're going through, then I've done my part. This is what I'm trying to do to reach out to keep the lights on. So that's what we're doing Tuesday. I hope you'll be a part of that. And then once I get that down and learn the buttons on that, we can maybe add another one for a little bit more comedy relief, a little funnier stuff that might have some maybe old monster movies or something like that. Steve, you and I are due to do an old Universal monster. Who haven't we done yet? I know we've done the Mummy, we've done Dracula, we've done who else?
I think we've done them all. The creature,
the Black Lagoon. We did him.
Yeah.
Did we do Frankenstein? I don't think we have.
Maybe not. Let's go back and do a Frankie.
We got to do a Frankenstein if we haven't.
And I'd like to do one on
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do that next Monday.
Night.
Let's do that. You go collect movies or whatever you want to do, or poems or things that he did or stories about him. You guys share a birthday.
Good audio, and then there's probably some good movies.
You guys share a birthday, so you've got that in common, and I'll pull some, and if we double it, we'll just flip a coin, and it ought to put together a good show. Plus, we'll just leave it to him. Maybe he'll come visit one of us and tell us what he wants to say. Wouldn't that be nice? I hope it's you and not me. No offense, Vince, but I'm all booked up. I mean, I've got so much going on right now. So many levels. I mean, I can't even tell you. So, but that's interesting. Would y'all like to see that, an episode on Vincent Price? Can't believe we hadn't done that. He's a big lover of cats, I understand, if I understand correctly. And what is this I've heard? Maybe this new Nosferatu. I haven't seen much on it.
I haven't seen much about it, but it sounds interesting.
Is it Willem?
The original.
Is it Willem Dafoe?
I think so. Yeah,
I think I saw something
some back channel stuff
with him where he's got to work with a lot of trained cats. So I'm interested to learn about this. Has anybody in the chat heard about this? What are y'all saying on the way out here? I love y'all. Thanks for coming in. Please hit the like. Please get over there to the Rumble. You're going to miss these movies. We're playing them commercial free. And hanging out in the chat together and commenting along the way and trying to reinforce, answer each other's questions, doing, jokes, whatever it may be. We're having the experience together. It's pretty cool. It's like the new version of the drive-in, Steve, except we're driving in on our couches and our easy chairs and our beds and our, and you don't even have to hang the speaker in the window. How many people have ever had that and drove off with it on the window? How many? I had a boyfriend do that one night. I think it was during the Star Wars. A double feature, probably. Boy, that's how old I am. I was 13 when that came out. Star Wars. I saw it 28 times in the theater. That's how big Star Wars was when I was a kid. Isn't that amazing? The times, you can't repeat that now. It's just a totally different world. It's a totally different world. Jaws came out, people that you couldn't shut up about it,
Yeah.
All right, kiddo. Are you on your way out? I'm on my way out.
Yeah, I'm
We're
on
right
my way out the
time.
door.
My
Got
love
to do
to hold
that
it in.
10 o'clock feeding.
My love to hold it in, Nick. You got a box down at your post office. You better go grab that and give that to
as
that
soon
baby.
as this snow and ice gets out of here, we'll go
Dig
grab
your
it.
way through. Get that to my godson. I'm his odd
right.
mother. I'm his fairy odd mother. But all right, I love you, my friend. Stay warm.
Love you
Everybody
too.
stay warm.
12 degrees here
Don't bust your
in my corner of
pipes.
Massachusetts.
Open the cabinet doors. 100-watt light bulbs will warm up a doghouse. Do not leave your animals outside. You don't do it. Don't you do it. And take care of yourselves. Be good humans. And we're going to dance our way out of here. Again, come on in Tuesday. See me. And Nefarious will be it. On the way out, I'm going to real quick play their put it right here at the end so I get a copyright strike. I'll just cut that bitch off. I love you, Steve. We're going to watch a little
Good night,
Nefarious.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Love you, honey. See y'all tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Good night, everybody. Keep the lights on. Be good human. Light beats it every time. Don't give up. It's a good day, America. Damn good day. Yeah, baby.